Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. Gen Zers, my dears, welcome to the luxury world. A lot of you in the older compartment of Gen Z time framing are just about finishing universities, closing up your studies, and you're entering the workforce. And by entering the workforce, you are entering also the world of consumerism, as every brand would wish you were to enter and to consume and absorb everything you earn. Keep spending, guys, because that's what the corporate world wants you to do. Fun, isn't it? So now that you, Gen Zers, are entering in full force into consumerism, welcome, first and foremost. And then now the brands are titillating because they are thinking to themselves, how do we squeeze them dry as much as possible? What do they like? Can we trick the Gen Zers just like we did the others, older generations, into buying crap quality for a lot of money? Just for the sake of making them feel like they belong to an elite group? Can we manage to trick the new generation to do the same? Seems to be a little bit more difficult because these brands are not really managing to lure the Gen Zers in as they managed to lure us suckers in generations ago. So what are especially the luxury brands thinking of doing to maintain their elite position on the market in a world that sooner than later will be dominated by the coin of Gen Z? Let's get to it. But first, subscribe to my channel, push the join button next to the subscription button. Become a member today and gain access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon, superdacob, all spelled together there as well for extra perks. Thank you to my members and patrons who have already pledged. This video is being filmed live in front of a live virtual audience, and I live stream several times a week. You're all welcome to join the live streams. Hi, chat. On the sidebar, Brenda says, such an interesting topic. Listen, it's actually way more complicated, but also kind of simple. We're going to get to it. There's several articles, by the way, reporting about this worldwide at the moment. I have one article in particular by Glamour magazine. Yeah, Glamour, darling, has reported about it. They called it, is Gen Z redefining luxury? Here's how the industry is changing. Now, we're going to get into really interesting details here. First and foremost, there's been a thing called a pandemic, right? That we've all had to go through in the past 3 years, give or take a year. At this point, who's counting, right? Because at this point, we've lost track of time, which is coincidentally also something that brand marketing kind of wants you to do. Biggest example, Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, baby. There's a reason why the casinos and all the slot machine rooms don't have a clock. There's a reason why they don't have a window. There's a reason why you never see if the sun is coming up or going down. They want you to lose track of time. Everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, just my opinion, and not rooted in truths or facts. And yet, in my worst Carrie Bradshaw voice, I couldn't help but wonder, is this comment worth a conspiracy theory or not? One conspiracy theory would be, did the biggest brands of the world all conspire together against the consumer to lock us down for 3 years in order for us to lose track of time and just spend as if we were in Vegas? I don't know if they did it intentionally, but what I do know is that the luxury brands during the lockdown made a lot of coin, honey, way more coin than before the lockdown. Isn't it interesting how economy started getting fueled in the luxury department? Well, other departments as well, but we are focused on luxury right now for this purpose of this video on this channel. How incredibly humongous the fueling of the luxury industry was during the lockdown, while we were in a pandemic Las Vegas scenario. Isn't it interesting? And in that scenario, however, seeds were planted Those will be the Gen Zers who are now growing out of the pandemic, and they have had time during the pandemic to be isolated, to be on their own, to have a different way of thinking, to reevaluate existence in general. And they have been deprived, first and foremost, the Gen Zers have been deprived of experiences. They have been deprived of living outside, growing up with their friends in nature, traveling. That is something that more than, craving a Louis Vuitton bag or a Birkin or a Chanel bag or a Dior bag, more than craving this, they seem to be craving experiences. They seem to be craving life, as sad as it sounds. It's that simple. And of course, luxury brands are already on it, honey. Boo boo cha. They are jumping on it like white on rice. And what do? Well, they pay a lot of money to either trend advisors or trendsetters, and they have these board meetings where you have all of these like teams of people that analyze markets and how the dynamics of the market are going, what the next generation is interested in. And they're paid very, very handsomely to tell the brands in which direction to build in the foreseeable future, 5 to 10 years. Sometimes, if you pay good money, even 20 years ahead. But so fascinating that how Glamour describes the Gen Z generation. They say they were born between 1997 and 2012. And that's the post-millennial generation. The oldest in this group are just about graduating from college and are already joining the workforce. Now, Gen Z is steadily moving into a position of having significant buying power, making brands and businesses very willing to hear them out and cater for their every need and demand. In other words, my dear, we, the elderly people, are basically not interesting. We're not the target audience for these luxury brands anymore. Oh, you're not invited anymore to a special event by Chanel, even though you keep spending money? Oh, you're not invited anymore. You're not been given that extra freebie, or you're not being, considered for that particular market, what you might call it, like analysis, where then they give you something if you partake in a marketing analytical thing. No, we're not interested to them anymore. So we can complain as much as we want here on the tubes. They don't care about us. They want fresh blood, just like any good old vampire. And I would know. They crave fresh blood. And so they are listening to Gen Z. And what does Gen Z whisper through the mists? Well, they want experiences, first and foremost. What does that mean? Believe it or not, and we have backup to prove this, and I'm going to show it to you in just a second, luxury brands are seeing that Gen Z wants the experiences in many different ways, whether it be travel or whether it be just something limited in time, like food, eating out with friends, something they couldn't do for 3 years or 4. So luxury brands have started opening luxury restaurants, luxury hotels, luxury travel resorts, all that good stuff. They want to spend money on experiences rather than on items. Gen Z wants to spend money on experience rather than on products, items. Let me show you a couple of examples. Let me move to the side on my Karen chair that always falls apart. So look at this. This is the Gucci restaurant. Yeah, Gucci has a restaurant. Has opened several restaurants worldwide. There's one in Beverly Hills. There's one in Florence. There might be they have several around the world. Now you go to Gucci to eat. Luxury experience. You don't buy the clothes, but you give Gucci money by buying food. So this is an example of one of their restaurants where you get to eat labeled food, logomania on the food. Rose's Raw Reality asks, is that why Louis Vuitton tried to open the hotel on Rodeo Drive? Yes, that's exactly why they tried to open the hotel on Rodeo Drive. Thank you for pointing that out. I have made a video about this specific hotel that could not come to be yet in another video of mine. So go check out that video as well for all the details about the Louis Vuitton hotel. Let me show you the next picture, because it's not just limited to Kering and Gucci. Here's another example. This is the Christian Dior Restaurant in Paris. Y'all, yeah. You go to the Christian Dior main boutique in Paris, and Christian Dior also offers you a lounging experience, darling. Now you can eat little tiny cakes with the canage print all over it, little cappuccinos on which they sprinkle the canage pattern on top of the cream. You can eat Dior food on Dior porcelain plates and drink your drinks out of Dior Baccarat crystal glasses that have been etched also in the shape of the canage pattern. So Dior is also offering a very specific Gen Z type of experience, and they know that that's where the money's at, because looky, eggs and cookie, they're all opening these multi-million-dollar expensive places, restaurants, because they know you're going to pay for it, rather than buying the authentic Lady Dior bag, or the authentic Chanel Timeless Classic double flap, or the authentic Louis Vuitton Neverfull. Because here's another point about Gen Z that this particular article, but also several studies have shown, and also TikTok is showing us on a daily basis. Gen Z does not care for authentic items of these luxury brands, and the luxury brands know this. Everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, just my opinion, just alleged, okay? Not rooted in truths or facts. Gen Z is okay with buying fakes. They don't care. They really don't care. And they will show off how proud they are to have found a super fake or even a less super fake on TikTok. They're going to make videos about it. They're going to share how proud they are and where they got their pieces. Some might even share their coupon codes with us, which is like highly illegal. But at the same time, Gen Z, they might be okay with fakes, but they are even more so okay with pre-loved, secondhand, used luxury items. We have the whole Greta Thunberg movement and a ton of people following her, and they all proclaim the desire for sustainability. And buying secondhand is as sustainable as fashion can get, even though fashion is never really sustainable. But Gen Z is very much so into pre-loved and not new, but they are okay with buying fakes. And they will proudly say so. They will yell it to all the winds. Now, the old cookies are the ones that have been brought up thinking, in some cases this might be true, but in many cases probably isn't. This whole conversation that, fakes fuel into terrorism and all that stuff, and child labor and all that stuff, and which might have been the case decades ago, but isn't always the case nowadays with Chinese economy booming and the system that they have set in place to manufacture certain things in certain factories. It's no longer this insipid mafia thing only. There's also very structured, high-end, high-tech, highly evolved, structured production chains. And I've seen pictures of those factories. They are not sweatshops, honey. They are not sweatshops anymore. Now they are high-end factories in many cases where everything is top-notch. And it does not look like poverty anymore. So that whole conversation that we had about, fakes fueling all of this bad stuff, yeah, probably still happens in a lot of cases, but not in all cases. Again, it's about knowing where you're buying from. Interesting, isn't it, how everything evolves? So to all the old cookies, before you keep saying, before you keep repeating all those weird brain manipulations that the brand marketing has been putting into you for years, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Stop for a second and smell the coffee and realize things are evolving. Very much so. If we're going to go into this conspiracy theory, we could also think maybe, just maybe, some of these brands are actually fueling their own fake industry. And I made a whole video about this over a year ago. You can go check that out on my channel as well. But just think about it. Why wouldn't these luxury brands want to profit off of this entire ginormous, humongous system of fakes? There's a lot of money to be made there, but also a lot of money to be lost if the luxury brands don't jump on that ship as well. Now, we've heard stories, allegations of a lot of luxury brands working together with said factories to deliver subpar authentic goods sold as fakes. Listen, we the people, we've been hearing stories. Okay, let's just saying. Now, so this is why the luxury industry is scared. They might not be able to sell bags in the future, and they have to pivot into experiences, luxury experiences, because you're scared you won't be selling your luxury bag no more for $5,000. So now you're going to pivot into this. We got more examples. Let me show you the next one. The Beige Restaurant. Sounds familiar? Yeah, Chanel. This is at the top of the Chanel building in Japan. I think it's in Tokyo. So this is the Beige Restaurant. You can have your little Chanel dining experience, darling. Yeah, Chanel is also in it. Chanel is also in it to win it, honey. Chanel is not the only... You see, Chanel is like, okay, yeah, we got the $10,000 bags, but let's also offer you food, darling. This is called the Beige. Pepper La Beige. No, it's not that fabulous. Pepper La Beige was fabulous. This looks like a canteen of any corporation, honey. But anyway, so to each their own, right? You want boring interior design? Go to Beige at the top of the Chanel building in Tokyo, darling. So Chanel is also in it. Who's next? Let me show you the next example. So now this thing that I'm going to show you next is brand new. Spick and span, brand new, just opened up, a brand new experience. I guess consolation prize for Louis Vuitton because they did not get a chance to open up a hotel on Rodeo Drive. Well, Louis Vuitton said, well, if we cannot buy our way into Rodeo Drive and open up a hotel there, let's see how far we can push our luck with Doha Airport. Q in Doha Airport. Yes, you best believe it, Louis Vuitton just opened up a lounge at the Doha Airport. Yeah, and look at all their hard case suitcases and luggage at the entrance of the lounge. Yeah, you no longer have to be traveling business or first class to go to the Doha first class business lounges. No, now you can pay an extra buck or two or 1,000 to go into the Louis Vuitton lounge. What an experience while you're on a journey across the globe at Doha Airport. Louis Vuitton serves you cookies, sweets, everything is branded with the LV logo. Now, granted, I got to say, Louis Vuitton is famous for travel. So I kind of think it kind of makes sense. If you really want to stretch this and find a kind of a justification for this, you could say, you know what, sure. I mean, you have all the luggage, the suitcases. Louis Vuitton is all about travel, escapism, going to faraway places. So it kind of makes sense to have a Louis Vuitton lounge on your journey from A to B. Kind of makes sense. I mean, it's part of that whole experience of traveling with Louis Vuitton luggage. Why not? I mean, just conceptually speaking. But they didn't open this lounge because they want to be conceptually poetic. LVMH doesn't do poetry, honey. LVMH does money, honey. So they're going to open up a lounge if there's money to be made. That's also one of the reasons why they didn't do this in the past decades. Why? Because us, the consumers that were young back in the day, we were giving them our money, you know, for all of these products, for their bags, for, you know what I mean? We were spending the money, honey, on their products. So they didn't need this to cash in a ton of money. No, now they need this because the Gen Z generation wants experience. You see what I mean? This is where it's going at. This is where it's going at. MMM is asking, is this even legal? Honey, laws are made with money. Don't you be fooled for a second here. Law has nothing to do with morals. Two different worlds. Moral code and law. It's like Mariah Carey. I don't know her. Who is she? Polly says, the sofas are monogram canvas. Well, you get like cappuccinos and little cakes and cookies. I've seen photos of like where everything has the monogram on it. They monogram everything. So if you're a fan of the monogram, like if you're a fan of the monogram canvas, like everything is monogrammed, like their plates, their dishes, the porcelains, like everything, you know, it's themed. It's like going to Disneyland. It's like going to Universal Studios. You know, it's like, it's a theme park. It's a lounge, but it's kind of a theme park for the fan of Louis Vuitton. And like I said, if you love stuff like that, and apparently Gen Z loves stuff like that, then you go for it. I mean, it's that simple. It might be necessary for brand. Paul and says this is so unnecessary, but perfect for social media victims. And I think you might have slightly misunderstood this because you said this is so unnecessary, but perfect for social media victims. This might be necessary for brands to survive in the future. You see, the brands are already thinking about their survival. They're already opening up all these places because this is where the money's at right now. So it's not like they're brainwashing the social media consumers into this. No, they're literally listening to what the new generation wants and they're giving it to them. Very fascinating, isn't it? Polly says, don't give them ideas, Dacob. We don't need them. Parks by Louis Vuitton. A Louis Vuitton roller coaster, though? A Virginie Viard Chanel roller coaster? Oh my God, that would be terrifying. What a horror trip. It would probably peel and fall apart. Allegedly. Michelle says, in New York City, all these brands have been doing the coffee carts. There you go. There's a reason why all this is happening. I'm a baby. 902 says, your analysis is spot on. Thank you so much. Thank you. Zane says, we ate at the Gucci restaurant at the mall in Florence. Wasn't bad. Do you think they will make chains? Because it can't even be close to bag sales. They are testing the waters. They're going to try to make them exclusive. But yes, they're going to open up more and more and more. Gucci also opened up a museum of their own stuff, like where there's a cafeteria. You also go in, see the collection, and then you buy coffee. You buy little trinkets to remember your experience with not necessarily a bag, but a trinket and food and coffee. Jack's Bag Attack says, I will spend $10 on coffee all day long. Brainwashed might be right. I'm also old, not Gen Z, says Jack. Well, coffee is a special thing. A lot of people are brainwashed into loving coffee. It's also quite addictive. So that's a whole other can of worms. Yes, exactly, Oxa. Bulgari Hotel Resort in Milan. Versace also had their own resort in Australia, which just closed down because, Versace isn't doing the bad way. Jesus says, things always evolve and turn into completely different things. Louis Vuitton might turn into airport lounges, Chanel into a long gone memory. Guerlain also has spas. That's an experience. You spend a lot of money and then you just get a little massage. Happy ending? I don't know. You be the judge. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. This has been a really, really, really eye-opening kind of conversation for me. I hope for you too. Let's keep the conversation rolling downstairs. And if you have more ideas how to continue this conversation in a future video, let us know. Thumb up the video and subscribe.